stay here any longer.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll call the Inland Wetland meeting of May 9th, 2002 to order. Let's start with introduction of committee members. Why don't we start?
Laura Ferguson, Commissioner.
Greg Johnson, Vice Chair.
Pat Parafort, Chairman.
Nico Jordan, Commissioner.
Danielle Monroe, Commissioner alternate.
Going up there again. Pat? I think you're muted. There you go.
Pat Sal, alternate commissioner.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Dave McCollum in the Wetlands agent and recording secretary.
Okay. All right. And Kevin should be joining us shortly. So
Yes, and we started at what time, Pat?
it was 7:05.
7:05, thank
I
you.
believe it was 7:05. Yes. All right. Public hearings. We have none for this meeting. So we have site plan review for 17 Whitney Road. Is there any updates from, I believe it's Mike?
Well, good evening, for the record, Mike Mizuko, professional engineer representing the applicant, Judy and Frank Saunders. And the last Thursday, we answered the Wright Pierce latest review and submitted revised plans. There were some minor just clarifications, and we just needed to coordinate some pipe slopes, inverts and catch basin grade elevations. And so we answered the letter, and we did get a response to that, to those, to our responses, as well as the revised plans, and everything has really been acknowledged. There was just one remaining kind of question about the location of the stormwater management system in relationship to the foundation. And what we've said was that the building is it's a frost wall, it's a slab foundation, it's not a basement. And so there's really no concern for water from the stormwater management system getting into or against the foundation. Whereas if it was a basement, you wouldn't want that water there. And the other thing that I did was just sort of mentioned to David earlier was that the slab of this foundation is going to be approximately 2.5 feet higher than the existing grade. And with a slab on grade, we normally don't ever put footing drains in because it's just not warranted. And it wouldn't be warranted in this case either. You could see if it was a situation where you had groundwater, then maybe, but even then we very rarely, I don't think if ever put footing drains in for frost walls. So that was really the only outstanding comment from Wright Pierce that was really I guess that was still a question. But other than that, everything else has been acknowledged. So unless there's any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Mike, I apologize. I missed the last meeting, but I did watch the video from it, and it just had one thing I was unclear about. Where the stormwater exits into the wetland, does that have that goes just to like a rip pad, or is there like a vortex chamber before that?
No, well, there's the stormwater management system, which consists of a orifice for the control for the pre-developed flow levels.
Okay.
And then that discharges to a sediment trap with riprap. And then from there, what we tried to do is, instead of, because it's very close to the Simpog Brook at that point, instead of dumping it directly into the brook, which would be a fairly short distance, we put a berm along the wetland line. So we directed the water to turn sort of in a north direction. To get it to travel, we can remove some sediment and pollutants, and then get it into the wetlands where it has further to travel through the wetlands before it reaches the brook again. So that was really the whole premise for why we did it that way. And as opposed to, if you look at the plans closely where they dump out the existing drainage, it's literally like, I don't know, 25 feet to the Simpog Brook. And that's not really an ideal situation in any way you look at it. So that's why we did what we did.
And I believe right now the property's like construction yard or something. These units, are they commercial? Or are they gonna be resi?
No, they're all, there's 30 one-bedroom apartments, nothing, no commercial.
So it's not like a garage or oil or anything like that? It's
No
just-
garages, they're just all exterior parking places.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Does any of the commission members have any other questions? No? Okay,
Okay,
Dave?
I'll just clarify real quick, the comment that Mike had spoken to about the slab and what is otherwise outstanding to be addressed with the Wright Pierce memorandum that just came out today. If there's any concern about that still not being hashed out, so to speak, I think it should be known that, at least to my understanding, where this comment is outstanding, it's outside of your 100-foot regulated open review area. So there's really no pertinence for you guys to want to get a response from Mike to address this in any way. You know, for what it is worth, there will still be review comments that Wright Pierce will have for Mike when this ultimately goes before P&Z, and then this would get added to that. The other comments that were in the latest memo for Mike from a wetlands perspective were either all addressed or acknowledged, as Mike mentioned. So from an engineering perspective for you guys, I would say you have the information you need to make a decision. Unless you otherwise have any other questions to go through tonight, it should be pretty straightforward, I would say.
Can that decision be made tonight? Dave?
I
Because otherwise it's 2 months.
would recommend
Okay.
you guys making it tonight on the basis that engineering has had all of their comments addressed and acknowledged, and the same would go for me with having that sewer lateral be removed from where they were originally proposing it to go and connect in the regulated wetlands areas on site. They've since relocated that, so the lion's share of any comments that I would have are just no longer relevant just because of that change. So what time is it now? 7:12. Thanks,
So-
Kevin.
Dave, if the committee member so moves to approve this,
Mhm.
normally you would draft up a notice of, approval. Again, I'm looking at this whole 2-month time period. Can that be approved by you, or you already drafted it up? You are awesome.
Cool. So, if you guys want to get into that later on,
Okay.
I welcome you to do that. Like I said, any questions you have otherwise, I would get those squared away with Mike before we render that decision.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions for Mike or the engineers? Okay, Pat, you good? Okay. So do we need a motion to move this to later on the agenda?
Well, I would say, technically you would if this was a public hearing.
But
Since
it's
this
not,
is a
so-
site plan review, you don't. And since this is a special meeting, you can't introduce any new items on the agenda anyway.
So can we just discuss it now and put it to bed?
That's what I would say. I would just
Awesome.
want to make sure that Kevin doesn't have any questions because he just came in the meeting.
We're talking about
Sorry.
the Whitney Road project.
Yes.
That's
that we went over
correct.
last time. I don't have any additional questions from the last time that we went over, actually the last 2 times. Nothing that I can recall from last time, unless there was something new discussed in the last 15 minutes that I'm not aware of.
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
Put it in,
It's-
basically.
Yeah.
Not-
Most of the exchange that has taken place between your last regular meeting on April 25th and the special meeting tonight has just been housekeeping stuff. There really
Okay.
hasn't been anything of great significance that would otherwise alter what's before you.
So
Go ahead.
what's the mindset of the members of the commission
Yeah.
to approve or not approve this application? My thoughts.
I mean, based on everything we went over, I would make a motion to approve it myself.
Okay.
And so I will do so, actually. I'll make a motion to.
Well, you're getting ahead.
Oh, yeah,
We're in the consensus
That's
phase
what's
right now.
consensus part.
We want to make sure we're in consensus, then.
Yeah, then we can make the call.
I think we're all in. Does anyone feel differently about this application?
All our
From a
concerns have been
wetlands perspective,
addressed.
sounds pretty.
Yep.
One at a time, guys, one at a time.
Nope, sounds like everyone's in, from a wetlands aspect, in agreement, so you want to make your motion?
I would make,
Oh, not yet, he will
Not
not.
yet,
Not yet, I'm sorry.
do we have to, oh, yeah, because we can.
Right.
Because you have a proposal.
That's correct.
So, I forgot, I was actually one step behind you. I forgot that we're gonna have a draft proposal. Look, that was gonna be excellent. That's perfect.
So here's the plan. You guys are all gonna get a chance to look at this. We're gonna do the Star Wars scroll
Perfect.
for the people out in cyberspace to take a look at
Thank you,
this.
sir.
Any questions, let me know. Please take your time to read this. Should be pretty straightforward.
I forgot that we actually requested this last time.
Wetlands aspect.
You didn't per se, I was just prepared.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh, so we did
you
it.
didn't,
Okay.
I just listened to the whole meeting, I
I
don't
was
remember
gonna
hearing
say,
this
I don't,
part.
I didn't recall.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh,
Did you
thank
make
God,
it?
I thought it was
It's
I
a
thought it was
bit,
going nuts. I thought
it
it was
is-
going behind here.
I will say, just to make this clear for the record, it is uncommon for me to have a draft resolution without your consensus beforehand, but I had figured the items that were otherwise left outstanding were so trivial that you guys would have come to this conclusion tonight anyway. So here we are. Let me pull this up on the screen.
Dave, while you're doing that, quick question, those placards, I know you showed them before, do they hold up to weather, or are you posting them in like 2 years, it's just gonna be a blank piece of,
They're laminated, they'll hold up.
hold up, okay. I mean, I have no problem doing it, it just needs to be like 2
Now-
years, what,
Now, I will just say, take the conditions that are on there with a grain of salt. If anyone wants to
No.
strike anything, that's why we're here, okay?
I'm fine with that.
All right, so here's the scroll. Hopefully it shouldn't be too fast for the people following cyberspace.
So,
All right.
that's-
Mentioned that last.
Yeah.
Just gonna put PP next to it.
Jeez, we're- Just waiting for a scroll. All right, looks like your scroll is done.
Yes, it is. So, before, we get into discussions, Mr. Chairman, I will remind you that you have all 5 of your full members tonight, so you will not need to seek anyone for this decision.
Okay,
I will just ask for the folks out in cyberspace, just give me a thumbs up if everything came through okay, with the Star Wars scroll. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so now I'll get into my, my spiel real quick. First 2 pages are pretty standard in terms of the proposed activities, the documents that you guys reviewed, they are all listed out here, and the relevant site plan sheets. We do get into some conditions in the bottom of page 2, but they are all otherwise boilerplate, nothing you guys haven't seen before. The only conditions that I would have you guys look into with any great detail would be 6, 7, and 8. I think 6 right off the bat is going to get struck because, for what I can recall, this building is going to be on slabs, so there will be no need for them to do any site work that would otherwise involve any great excavation for buildings, so that one's gonna go away.
1 second, number 6,
That's-
dewatering,
Yes, correct.
does that not include like a concrete truck dewatering, cleaning?
No, that's concrete washout. Good question, but it's
Oh,
totally
okay.
different.
I'm sorry, I thought it was the same.
Oh, like when they
that's okay.
spray out the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't- Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
that's different. Good
Okay.
question, but that's different.
all right,
Okay, and so now if, for the folks following on the screen, it's gonna be now condition 6. For the folks following on paper, it's condition 7. We're looking at the orange construction fencing, the Don Goodrich, as you guys like to know it by. Where do we want it installed? Is there a specific area? Is there a specific extent you guys want it? How does that work?
I would say anywhere it's within 10 feet of the wetland construction.
So let's clarify that, where the limit of disturbance is within 10
Yes.
feet?
Yes,
Okay,
yep, if they're not gonna be working within 10 feet of that wetland, I'm not afraid of a machine going in there.
Pat, I think they're creating that berm within 10 feet
Right.
of the wetland.
Yep.
So let's take a look at the site. I can pull up what the road here. Yes, I can. Where is alphabet here? There we go. And that's gonna be.
I mean, keep in mind, they still got the sediment and erosion controls, and just the orange fencing, just so the machines.
it's more of a visual reminder than an actual.
Exactly.
So let me pull up PDF here real quick, everybody. All right.
So often hiking, I always see the sanitation fencing.
Left behind, yeah.
So that's
And
the
maybe
other
if the
thing
site
too
didn't
that I
get
think about
developed.
too.
That's why they came up with that other sedimentation stuff, that round thing. You ever see that one?
No.
It's basically, they use that 84, like near exit 9. It's round and it's filled with like with hay and stuff like that, and they use spikes, like wood spikes to hold it in. That way, if it's ever forgotten, it just rots away within a couple months. or
There
whatever.
we go. This is the one.
If you drive down 84, like
So there's
right
no
before
plastic
exit
in it, they
9,
use to
you'll
stake
still
it
see
though.
the stakes up there,
They just stick it with wood,
wood
right?
stakes.
Stick
Yeah,
it with wood and that way it's
Okay,
biodegradable within a short period of time.
exactly.
so. This looks to be, actually, I'm sorry. Let me look at my legend here before I start speaking out of school.
I think as long as you mark it within 10 feet in the,
I think
No,
that berm they're
okay.
creating might be within that 10 feet.
right,
Yes,
Right,
I
right on
would
the
say
side right
that,
there. Yeah.
so,
So if you stake it, I'm not sure that they can work in that space to create the berm that they need to, is my concern.
they could put the fence right on the edge of the wetland, It doesn't have to be where they're working, it could be,
I see, showing within.
yeah, if they're working within 10 feet, then it's gotta be by the wetland. like,
Okay, I
yeah.
misunderstood and thought you were saying you want that fence 10 feet off. the
Okay.
wetland.
No, it could be right at the beginning of the wetland, but if they're working within 10 feet of,
So this area here where my cursor is
Yeah.
running, if you all can see, that appears to be
right now,
the furthest,
Yeah.
most, or the closest extent to where this activity takes place to
Right.
the wetland, with relative to the wetlands. So do we want the construction fence to be just along this section here, or do we want it anywhere else?
anywhere they're working within 10 feet of the wetlands.
Okay, so do we want it to extend a little bit up this way on both sides, or?
No, they're not, the wetland doesn't extend that way, I don't think.
Wetland
Well, your
extends
On
wetland
the
line is
bottom,
here.
yes, on the bottom, yes, on the top, I don't think it does, it curves in.
Dave, can you clarify which one is the wetland line?
So your wetland line, it's, I believe it's this WL here. So if you follow my cursor, it runs like this. And then there's jog that takes it
It's strange how
close
it takes a sharp
to,
turn, isn't it? It's not natural.
And then it goes down again.
that's correct.
What is the medium-sized dash line
Steep drop offs.
where you were just pointing, asking if we want the fencing? to
This
go?
one right here,
Yes.
that's your silt fence.
Gotcha. Which is different from the orange.
That's correct.
Still fence, that little black fence.
Interesting how the wetland boundary is so squarely delineated there, isn't it?
That's how it was flagged by the soil scientists.
Is that man-made?
What do
Could
you
have
mean?
been a years ago filled in or something, or just naturally, it could be any.
So Pat,
Mhm.
if the orange fencing is right at the edge.
Yep.
Is that going to be problematic for frogs and other creatures that are in the wetlands if you're staking it right at the margin?
No, the orange fence, I actually has holes in it, it's got the triangles in it. And you're not going the whole way, so I think it would be fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
If anything, it
you-
might protect wildlife from keeping it from
Right.
going into the construction site, if
In
anything.
this case, you would have the silt fence, which is actually solid, about a foot or 2 feet high, and then you would have the orange fence either in front, probably in front of that.
Mhm.
So it's actually the silt fencing that would block versus the orange. fence.
Well,
Thanks.
I feel like you guys are trying to bundle in two separate concerns with one answer.
Mhm.
So the intent of the orange construction fencing is more from a human perspective
Right.
than anything else. For
Visual.
you and for what your question may be, I don't want to speak for you, but you should look at that question from the vein of when is this work taking place? So if there is a peak period of activity for this on-site wetland, obviously you're not going to want to have the work coincide with that. You would want to have it phased so that it would not otherwise overlap with when you would have creatures that want to access that wetland
Right,
at the same time.
and that would be under DEP. They would be making sure that the construction phasing was happening appropriately, or that's.
That time frame is at your discretion. If you want to craft a condition that that gives a period of activity when someone can or cannot work. Of course, I wouldn't pin to specific dates or
I don't think there's a case where they're going wetlands to wetlands. You're going the boundary of a wetland. It's not like they're going from one wetland to another like they were where the well is.
understood.
I don't think it's
Turtles still migrate and nest
Do they?
Absolutely,
Up and out of the wetland.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And frogs do as well. Frogs will leave the,
Now's a bad.
toads especially will go from the,
Construction on
from the
wetlands.
woods to the wetlands if there's vernal pools.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think there are any woods there. It's all right now a construction.
Construction.
I don't know, I know where it is. I've been
Yep.
in that neighborhood before. I haven't cased it out, but, I don't know. I don't know.
Do we know when they're doing the construction? Because now is a very active time for all the wetland creatures and stuff, like it's spring, right?
Well, they're obviously not going to be doing any construction activities until they get any
Right.
further approvals, which is a different subject, but I'll just give you the short answer of they have not gotten that yet. So they're not in any position to do any work immediately after they would get an approval from you guys, at least to my knowledge. So I would rule that concern out.
Unless it's a year from now.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah,
An approval that is granted by you guys has a customary period of 5 years. It can be extended to be up to 10. So they would have to come back within the next 5 years to get that extension. So, how you want to craft the language is up to you. If you're so inclined to have language in there that comes from that aspect, otherwise, for the orange construction fencing anyway, we're just talking about.
Orange construction fence, I would just add in there anywhere that disturbance is within 10 feet of the wetlands.
Okay.
Wetlands must be bordered or delineated with orange fencing.
that's a good way to put it, wetlands delineation within, if you're
Yeah.
working within 10 feet of it, 'cause that's just optics.
Yeah, that's
That's
exactly
just
what it is.
just
So
optics.
look at what I'm typing here, along
I can't.
the
Can't see it.
proposed,
You don't have it up.
oh, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
let me get back to that.
I mean, all construction timeframes are, all good construction timeframes occur during high flow through timeframes in New England. That's just the nature of where we live, and I don't think that's feasible to tell people to build in February.
It depends how sensitive the area is, I think. Like,
Yeah.
if this was all woods right now, I would be agreeing, but because it's already a construction
Yeah.
yard and it's not like what they're bordering, it's a construction yard bordering wetlands. If you're
Mhm.
looking at an area like where the well was at, where
Where
it's
it's all
in the middle
wetlands.
of a huge habitat, where they're gonna be looking for like turtles before they start any work, that's, again,
Yeah.
I think there's a certain sensitivity to that.
No, I wasn't implying that. So
No.
I was
yeah,
really thinking about animals getting stuck in the fencing. That was really.
Okay,
If we're gonna be putting it that close, which they presumably will need it to be because there's.
well,
not
you
a
know
lot
what,
to
maybe
do.
think about for future ones that some type of different, lineation then,
Right.
again, like you said, it's just a visual,
Right.
For the workers.
But if we're
Yeah,
putting
for
that
the
visual
machine
in there and
operators.
it's gonna cause harm.
Then it's not,
then
agreed,
it's not,
it's defeating the purpose of
Right.
what it's meant for. All right,
But it's a good point, like to know the peak periods of
Mhm.
of activity
Yep.
around these wetlands and like when construction should happen, when it shouldn't, like obviously winter.
right, well, like
Yeah.
Kevin said, they wanna get
Can't
the
construct,
construction
right.
projects buttoned up before winter sets in, so they wanna have it up with closed.
So when is the best time to be?
I would say that spring is the worst.
Spring's gotta be the worst.
Well, that's breeding season for almost every animal.
They're all waking up.
Yeah, unless you're talking deer over breeding seasons, winter.
You mean when's the best time
That's not
for
gonna
actual
affect what-
construction purposes?
Yeah. so
They
high-
wanna
high
get
summer,
things
fall.
done by the end of fall, so it depends on how big of a construction project it would be, is my guess, right? Cause they want to get it up and closed in before the snow is gone,
Right,
and then do the interiors.
right, so for earthwork. You're obviously going to want to avoid any time of year where the ground is frozen. Anything that is above grade, you really don't have, you're really not limited by whether or not temperatures are above freezing, because your earthwork is already done. I would say the vein that Kevin was going down of when and at their breeding season is, i.e. right now in springtime, is the time period you want to protect the most. And obviously there has to be some period where you can have earthwork disturbance. So I would say the later warmer months would be that window for you to, or for someone to get in there. Whether or not that would happen this year for the applicant remains to be seen. But of course, you don't have to craft your condition for just this year. It could be for any going forward within the time frame of your approval.
And to that point, I don't know if it's as applicable to this particular project because of where it is, but it is, I do agree that that is something that we should maybe alternate projects that we can take into consideration, especially ones that are very
Sure.
Wooded habitats. I agree
Sure.
with that.
So let's not get too far off track because I want to get this
I
road
agree.
construction plan and condition wrapped up. So I have it written, I have it highlighted on the screen in blue. Orange construction fencing shall be installed along any proposed limit of disturbance within 10 feet of on-site regulated wetlands areas as shown on the site plan sheet.
That's it.
That answer, is that
Short, sweet,
accomplish what
and-
you want?
To the point, yes.
Got it, cool. Now, let's get on to the next condition I have. Do you guys want to keep this?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I
Oh,
don't know how the
keeping
rest of the board feels.
Dewatering equipment?
No, so the dewatering equipment is out because there's no need for it because this is gonna be on slab. So now we're at your condition 8. On here, it's condition 7.
Oh, the
with
markers.
Correct.
Yeah, we just definitely
Do
have
you
them for
want to
condo
keep
properties.
those? Or
Well,
do you feel it's not appropriate?
I mean, it's fine by me. Like,
Sure, because
It's a condo, you don't know who's gonna be there. We should definitely have.
single family
Right.
dwelling, private residence.
And it's
with
within
ponds.
20 feet. They could put a foot from it.
Okay,
And it'll be a high turnover kind of location. I
Yeah.
think it's wise to have it there as a marker.
Yep.
okay. So do we want to have a set number of markers? Do we want to do an interval
I think
between?
an interval is good. I just
Okay,
have to decide on the footage.
yes. And how do you guys want these markers to be shown? Do you want them fixed or do you want them on their own posts or both?
either or in my mind, whatever's less disturbing to the area.
Okay,
I don't know if there's any trees available there. They have to be on posts.
Agreed, but
I know,
the trees
I'm
are the
not
option.
with the, yeah. Trees best option. If there's already something there, then I'm fine with it.
so if that option is if that option is available, you
You're
shouldn't
welcome to
exclude
use
the
it.
applicant from doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
You have it written as either or, correct?
for this,
I believe so.
Yes, it's there.
on either,
On a 4x4
on either a four or yes.
or, yeah, it's either or. I agree with
Okay.
either or.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I guess the question that Greg brings up is the interval. How far do you want these spaced?
I
think
think looking at
I
visual
think it says
optics.
20 feet, right?
Well, that's within 20 feet.
Within 20 feet of the wetland,
Now,
but how far do you want them spaced apart?
I'm
With
thinking this
wise.
table's about 20 feet.
Mm,
Ten.
mhm.
No, it's not 10. I'm
12.
5.
I'm
2, 4, 6, 8. These are each 2 feet, the ceiling tiles.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 feet. I'm 5.
This is about
this is
25
4 of me.
feet.
That's what?
This table's 4 of me.
Let's get a tape measure.
Oh, the whole table.
Yes.
Oh, I'm thinking the table. Sorry. Yeah, this whole thing is 20 feet. Sorry, I was
This
thought,
doesn't-
this is the table. Sorry, I wasn't
Okay.
counting the whole thing.
You want to do 20?
This is
or
20 feet.
25?
Yes, you are correct. I was like, wow.
You should see the fish I catch.
Good call.
Um,
Story of my life.
Okay, so this is 20 feet as a visual.
Yes,
how many placards do we want within that space?
How wide is the property? I mean, is this gonna become a,
Yeah, you don't want 3,000 of these
Right.
things on the property.
Right.
So that's what I'm asking. Do you
Yeah,
want,
Do
do
you want it
you
every
want,
20 feet, 30 feet?
do you
every
want
40
these,
feet?
do you want to base your markers by number or by number, or do you want to have them spaced by interval?
I think by interval,
Okay,
that's my view as a non-voting member this evening.
Let's do interval, but let's give them a range with the interval in case there's,
within-
yeah, because if there's vegetation that's like within that interval range that they can utilize. Like 25 to 35 feet or something like that, because if there's a tree 2 feet down.
can we put something like that will adequately delineate the wetlands instead of putting footages?
It's open to
It's
interpretation.
open to interpretation.
People
I mean-
might not interpret that the same.
I just hate to see a piece of property that has a fence post every 20 feet with a placard on it.
I mean,
Then do
Yep.
40 feet.
okay, yeah, I mean, don't look to me on this one. This is,
Yeah.
this is a discussion
I
amongst
agree with that.
yourselves.
I agree with the, in my mind, all I'm seeing is like fence posts.
Right.
And I'm like, ugh, I hate that, but I like the concept of allowing them. As long as it's easily delineated. But then when you leave it up to interpretation, that's just.
Dave, could you bring up the map and see if we can get an estimate
Unless you
on
do
what the
it-
frontage is?
Mhm.
Thank you,
Where it
Matt.
delineates the wetlands maximum distance 50 feet. Or whatever number.
Let's see how long that property line is.
That works.
Put it up on the berm.
I mean, if they had trees there, you can put every 5 feet. It just blends right in, so. But
Oh, yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying.
So there needs to be a distinction, or a distinction needs to be made in that the property line, which is where my cursor is following here,
it's different than.
extends a lot longer than where your proposed limit of disturbance, which is this dash line here,
Right.
would be.
I just was asking for mine, and other people may
I forgot
disagree.
that they had
What
that
is
there.
the approximate length of the border of the wetlands on the property that we would be looking to delineate? We're not running it around the entire property.
Okay, so. Let's
I agree.
do,
That's much more of a helpful visualization.
oh boy. It's hard to access my functions when I can't see half my buttons. There we go.
Hmm.
What's our scale here? 20 feet, okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But okay, so the brook is over here. It's this black one, I'm assuming. But it looks like the trees are.
Okay.
David, Mike Mizuko, the wetland line on the property is roughly 200 feet long. From where your cursor is all the way over to the southerly property line. That includes going around that
So why don't
mountain.
If
Yeah.
it's 200
Yeah,
feet
that's-
long, why don't you make it placard delineate wetlands to be placed no farther apart than 50 feet?
I like that, because that way you can add more
You can add more if you want,
to your heart's
but
desire,
if you're within 50 feet, you got one on each thing and then
but no more than 50 feet.
50 feet apart.
I like that verbiage. Because that allows for a little bit of leniency, or
Right.
if you want to, you put them on every tree.
I see that happen.
I wouldn't put them on every tree, but you could.
Ew.
Please no,
I don't think there are trees.
I think that's kind of taken away from the purpose, slamming nails into every tree.
Okay. So this is how that condition now reads. A town of Bethel environmentally sensitive area marker shall be placed within 20 feet of the flagged on-site regulated wetlands area on either a 4-inch by 4-inch wood post or mature vegetation no less than 48 inches and no greater than 60 inches from finished grade. Said marker shall be spaced no greater than 50 feet apart.
There you go.
Works. Everybody happy with how that reads?
I'm good. You
Okay.
good?
Yep.
Awesome.
Now, to the last commission, which is number 9 for the folks following on paper, and number 8 following on here. The letter of substantial completion is for your stormwater management system. Does that read okay?
Mhm.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything that you want me to add or that you want to have added?
Nope.
Okay, so all said and done, we've got, if I can undo my highlighting here, oh, hang on here. Oh boy. Multitasking is something to be desired. Up share. There we go. X out of that. Don't want to save changes, thank you. Pull this up again. Okay. So all told, we have 8 conditions based on, or with the findings, for the 3 reasons here as listed. Anything else that you guys want to add? Last call.
I think we're good.
Okay, and I would
Make
say
the
this motion, you're, at this point, you're waiting for a motion.
Oh,
That's-
I would like.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm. I would like to make a motion to approve this draft resolution of approval for 17 Whitney Road, based on the 8 conditions listed. And the 3, noting the 3 reasons as stipulated on the draft resolution of approval.
You can practice. I'll second that. Okay,
We have a second.
so all those in
All in
favor of
favor?
approval?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, sir.
Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take
You
care.
too.
All right, new business, Inland Wetland Commission meeting minutes from 4/25/22. I need a motion to,
And make a motion that we approve the minutes from April 25th.
I second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? And I will be abstaining. We're back here. Okay, commission comments, Dave, I believe this is yours. You got 2 things on here.
Oh, okay, yes. Technically, that's, yes. It's supposed to be me, but that's okay. 4 minutes. All right, so, yes, there are 2 administrative agent approvals that I have processed over the past 2 weeks since you guys last met. One of the administrative approvals was for the conversion of an existing deck to a sunroom. And the other was for a couple of additions off of an existing single-family dwelling. They're both pretty straightforward. I acted under your guys' authority to issue these approvals on the basis that they are occurring within areas of the property that are already disturbed. And they are not increasing the area that is already disturbed to conduct these activities. There are going to be erosion sedimentation controls installed as appropriate for each to make sure anything that goes on within that upland review area is contained and doesn't otherwise get any closer to the wetlands than it has to. I can pull up the GIS maps for both of these if you guys want me to real quick. Otherwise, we can just continue to cruise right on through. With my last thing, which would be, so like I said at the last meeting, we're through the busy season, so to speak, in the wetlands application wise. You guys should not take this as time to rest on your laurels for all the hard work that you have done. There is always stuff that you guys can read on and look into in between the times that you guys have applications. I know some of you have already taken the opportunity of upon yourselves to do that. For questions akin to the ones that you may have had tonight, or for other applications that you guys have recently approved, now may be the time to brush yourselves up on what that info is, so that way you can have that to consider for your guys' next decision or the next application you guys accept and review, whenever that may be. I don't know when you guys will get new applications coming in. I know there are at least 2 in the works, one for an existing, one for a proposed single-family dwelling, and another one for a mountain bike network. Yes, that may, I don't want to say anymore because it's all very preliminary right now. I had a feeling that would pique your interest, but when folks get some pen to paper, obviously you'll have a better idea of what's going on and where. So like I said, I don't know when those are coming. So just keep your guys' Mondays free for now. If for some reason we don't have anything coming up, obviously your guys' meetings will get canceled due to lack of items on the agenda. I'll try my best to keep you up to date with when that might happen.
So our next meeting now is in June.
That's correct. You guys have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks between now and your next meeting.
And Dave, have they posted and I'm trying to remember and I don't, the class schedules for, I know every year they were doing it, I'm gonna say Northwest Conservation, or we used to go to Old Line. I know some of us have done classes there. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone will be interested in it, but they usually post classes on wetlands for that.
Old Lyme is new knowledge to me, and I would say that the Northwest Conservation District would not likely hold, I wouldn't see them holding a class all the way on the other end of the state
Okay,
for,
well, I went to one there, so.
I'm sure you
This was
did,
20
and
years ago.
I'm inclined to think
Yeah.
that that class may have either been for the Connecticut Association's wetland scientists,
Okay,
for the DEP,
okay.
or for TACUWAC, which is the seminar that
Who
I
was that
attended.
voice we approved a couple meetings ago for last year?
That was for the Northwest Conservation.
Do they hold educational classes?
They
Is that what I'm
do, but they
thinking?
are normally in April. I believe that may have been the class that Nico may have attended virtually.
All right, it might have been already. I just was thinking if we had classes that everyone wanted
I
to
would
attend.
like to do that.
Okay,
I was gonna be.
sure.
When
I,
it comes
Mhm.
about.
yeah,
When it comes
I
about.
normally get notice of new classes at least 3 months in advance. So right now you'd be looking at classes that are going to be scheduled for early fall. I don't have any on my radar at the moment. People are still trying to feel out whether or not it's appropriate to have classes in person again, or if they should stick with the virtual thing, which seems to be getting some traction depending on who you talk to. So I don't know where we're at right now, so I'm just,
No, keep me in the
Thank you.
loop.
I'll be flexible with that. Other than that, thank you guys, keep up the hard work, and I've got no new comments.
All right, does anyone of the commission members, sorry about that, have anything they'd like to add or input at this time? Okay, make a motion to adjourn the inland wetland meeting for tonight.
My second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Great, thank you.
That is weird. That's less than an hour.
Yes.